Do you believe in the devil?
You want the short answer or the long one?
You run around this city like it's your damn shooting gallery.
Yeah, what do? You act like it's a playground. You beat up the bullies with your fists, you throw them in jail, everybody calls you a hero, right? Only I do the one thing that you can't. You hit them and they get back up, I hit them and they stay down.
Come on, kill me now! You don't get to destroy who I am!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Comics a la Mode, the podcast where we talk about literally anything that it comes to mind. But yeah,
right now we're talking about teenagers backing into my car.
Yeah,
so that's fun.
Last time Landon and I saw each other was at church, and he was in the process of trying to get some kids information because they ran into his car.
Yeah, bummer. We're going to be parking out in the boonies at church now.
Yeah, I would highly suggest that. Absolutely. But anyways, we're back. Lots going on with our lives. Lots going on in nerd stuff. There's Star Wars, which we really haven't talked about yet.
Well, we haven't recorded in like 2 weeks, have we?
Yeah, we haven't recorded in 2 weeks. We've been, again, work and life sometimes gets busy.
I just told Russ, like, so much has happened in between Andor season 2 wrapping up and now. We'll get into it, but like as we talk, I'm hoping that it generates topics because I can't remember what Andor season 2 was even about.
Well, then we'll start off with like the easier news. So AI is taking over the world at this point. Relatively speaking, obviously.
Sure.
And it's funny, for sure. And so one of the big things that came out this last week was that... Oh, shoot. I don't like that. I don't like that sound. I don't like hearing my own voice sometimes.
AI.
There we go. Yeah, I know, right?
Are you listening to the pod or something?
Yeah, I like turned on the pod
live,
and then I heard myself and I was like, "Oh, nope.
Oh no,
that
get away, get out." Yeah, AI.
So then I saw this earlier this week. This happened probably. I think it happened Monday. I want to say, or no, last week. Sorry, not even this week. Last week, late last week, probably like Thursday. People are making AI creations of quote unquote Avengers Doomsday leaks.
Yeah.
And anybody falling for these is crazy because they're obviously bad. Like it's obvious.
It's bad, and they haven't even shot the entire picture yet. Like they've shot barely any of this film. There's not going to be there's definitely not going to be any like finished VFX shots by now.
Yeah, we've already been getting pieces of this movie that's come out. Like they showed off James Marsden's like X-Men suit because apparently he's in Doomsday. Again, sure, dude. Sure. It's going to be
all those Fox characters back.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's just really funny that a lot of people are falling for it because we've, like, for the last 20 years, I feel like we've been in this space where leaks happen, and other than like most of the time they're actually pretty accurate, and most of the time they're real. The only thing we've ever had to deal with is like Photoshop kings making Photoshop edits.
We haven't seen any where these leaks differ is that they're starting to add movement to the AI generation, like images now, and it's basically one of the ones that I saw recently. The AI generated Avengers stuff was it was like a reel. It was like a highlight clips reel of like different AI generated short clips stitched together to make it look like somebody took different angles of the Avengers set. And while very creative, I'll give them props for creativity. Like that is what it would kind of look like if somebody were to stitch together a bunch of clips of like behind the scenes footage. It's definitely fake. And I don't think any part of what they're putting together here is even going to make it out of into the movie. So
I think the biggest like the biggest topic that comes about when you talk about using AI to like show like being like, oh, there's leaks, is like it's that hype train that, excuse me, that we're all used to. It's that hype train of a new Marvel movie comes out, and
It's
there's
the
leaks,
theories.
and then the theories generate.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with AI is, and especially like these AI things, is you have to come up with the theories have to happen before the content or the quote unquote leak content even comes out. So because somebody has to then prompt, Grok or any one of these AI creation tools to be able to build something that looks like usable.
Yeah. So there's a couple floating around. Which one grabbed your attention? Because I just looked it up on Instagram again, and it pops up like several. There's one in particular that I was actually like kind of impressed by, because some of these they have like this filter of it looks like this has been filmed on a big screen through a phone. So imagine like somebody whips out their phone during in a theater of like, it's the phone camera footage of whatever is showing in the Thunderbolts theater. It looks like that. And I think it's fun when they add that extra bit of realism to it. So there's this one that I saw where it's Doom, and it's based, you can tell, it's based off of that early concept art we saw of Doom, and he's like sitting in his throne, and he's got kind of the fur around his collar and everything like that. But this is like taking it further, right? Because it's this AI generated stuff, and it's Johnny Storm going balls to the walls across this. It looks like a large like cavern sort of thing. Have you seen this one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. Send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you right now. It's interesting.
So this is the one. This is the one that I seen. I'm sharing screen right now, on the stream.
Yeah, I just sent the one I was talking about to you. I've seen the ones of Deadpool.
John Lucre that I sent to you earlier.
Yes, I've seen
and
this.
again, like a lot of this is bad, but there are some pieces of these videos that actually do look like could look real.
Yeah, I mean, look at the details of the set. Like they have the cameras and they have the tarps, and it looks like an actual set and what it would look like. And even this one right here of Deadpool like on the ground and Doom over him, it looks like it's filmed in that same space. Remember all the Deadpool and Wolverine leaks that we saw way back when, before that film came out? It was like Logan and Wade, they were like we know that they're in the wasteland now, but like they were filming that, and it's like you shoot that far away to get those wides, and like the AI here, it's like you have that space in between the camera and the subject, and like that's just like a next level of AI generation, right? And none of these things have like 6 or 7 fingers, right? So we're past that. Getting better, but what's interesting is like this all is part of like what you were saying. This is all part of the theories that we generate before these films come out. This is all part of the lore crafting and like the speculation about what's going to happen in Avengers Doomsday. And it's like the conversation is taking this new form because we have tools like Grok and ChatGPT and Midjourney AI and all this stuff. Like it's the theories come to life. And I think these ones, we're going to see this over the years improve and get more and more complicated. But like right now, this kind of stuff is just generated for clicks. But AI is just, it keeps improving. So we're only going to see more and more realistic interpretations of like what's going to go down in films before they even release, which is kind of interesting. But what did you think about the one that I sent you, the one of Doom? And it's a throne room, kind of large cavernous throne room. You see like
I mean it very much fits the concept art that we talked about earlier, a couple months ago. And that looks fantastic. That definitely looks like, especially if you would
the
put
concept art does, for sure.
Like if they took that video and put like, you can put like those borders to make it look like it's raw footage or rendered footage, that kind of stuff. It's easier to sell. I think it's cool because, again, like the difference between that video and, say, the video that I showed you earlier,
like Deadpool and everything, and
with
Wanda.
Deadpool and everything, is that's like that feels more like that's like BTS photos. So it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like somebody was there on set.
yeah, exactly.
sure.
And so it's like I mean, ultimately, I've never had a problem with leaks. I've always thought it was cool that leaks happen, especially like go back to the heyday of Marvel. Like, let's go back to before we're now in just a terrible timeline where a Thunderbolts movie makes the literal worst, like doesn't gross
So sad.
what it should. So let's go back to like the heyday of Marvel, you know, when we got the announcements at San Diego Comic-Con of the next slate, and then it was like,
Dude,
hey,
those Hall H panels, the massive
Hall exactly, the Hall H panels. Like, just think about coming off of the heels of the first Avengers, and you get the Comic-Con panels of Thor 2, Iron Man 3, Captain America Civil War, or no, Winter Soldier at that time. It was Captain America Winter Soldier. Avengers.
Like phase 2 of the MCU.
Yeah,
like
Avengers, Age of Ultron.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
When they introduced
I forget Guardians of the Galaxy was in that era.
Yeah.
You have this massive hype. And so then, you know, then you start hearing, hey, we started production on, you know, Thor 2. And then you start seeing you start seeing, maybe you'll see some leaks or you see a concept photo. And that's what generated all of the hype. And that's what got us all excited, because then we just started, you know, it got leaked that, you know, Malekith. Now, again, Thor 2, not the best Marvel film. And honestly, up until the end of Endgame, probably the worst. Nope, sorry. That title is held by Captain Marvel. Held as one of the worst Marvel movies that was released, but it still got everybody hyped. Like, everybody was hyped.
Yeah.
You know, you had all of these leaks. And so, you know, thinking about, like, if these AI generations were coming out, then, like, I don't know.
It'd be crazy if you're mentioning like you mentioned Civil War, but I think Civil War was like a different generation. Was Civil War part of phase 2 or phase 3? I can't remember.
Phase 3.
Do you remember when you're talking about the Hall H panels? Do you remember when they introduced the third Captain America movie? Do you remember what the fake title they had for it was called?
Yeah, it was Serpent Society.
Dude, imagine if they came out with like that announcement and then they changed it. They're like, oh, we're going to make Captain America 3, it's Serpent Society. And then a couple weeks later, you get, boom, the actual reveal, which is Civil War.
Yep.
Imagine like the content that was generated and would be generated today with like a fake title like that. Like, so many Serpent Society images and things like that. Like, that's what we're getting now. We have so little to go off of in terms of the plot for Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
These people obviously want clicks, but like, they're utilizing everything that they have so far to like put this together. Like, Deadpool made money, so of course maybe he's going to be cameoed in it. You know, we get some of these concept images. They're going to use that as like a backdrop for generating the AI stuff, because that's all we have right now. That's all the images that we have.
It's going to be interesting too, because we're not going to get. There's no way we're going to get information about this.
Wraps.
We're not going to get information about this forever. And it already got pushed back too, which that's other news that happened last week.
Yeah,
was that Avengers Doomsday got pushed back, which means now Spider-Man 4 is coming out before Doomsday.
Is it? Is Spidey coming out next year?
Yeah.
Holy cow! Are you serious?
Yeah.
Did I miss that?
Yeah.
What else is coming out next year? Are those the only 2 Marvel films? I know they reduced their slate. I think they said like
I think
2 TV
it's
shows, 3 movies, something like that.
I think it's those 2, yeah.
Oh,
which also, I don't know if you've seen this recently, but I started seeing it a lot last week. Marvel started pushing Brave New World again, like it was
released on Disney Plus.
I thought it had been on Disney Plus.
Who knows? Who gives a shit?
Like, what? I was like, I kept seeing that, and I was just like, what? Like, why are we pushing this again? Like,
Dude,
they
that came out
started
in
pushing it
February.
all. They started pushing it all over X again, and then they started pushing it on like when I'm trying to watch this show Andor. They're pushing it in ads, and I'm just like,
Dude, I'm getting
what?
so many YouTube ads for Captain America Brave New
Yes,
World. It's like that clip of Sam. They're meeting Isaiah Bradley in the gym. He's like, "This is
yes.
Falcon. I've been working with him for 3
the
years. I
OG
can't get him to
Cap.
shut up." It's so bad. It's so
It's-
awful. It's like a. It sounds like a rush and horrible.
Actually, hilariously enough, I'm kind of vindicated in this this thing that I saw. I guess I saw a report that Sebastian Stan came out and said that when he initially signed on,
they promised Cap.
they promised him that he was going to be Cap, and we know that. We knew that. The only reason that changed, like that ship was set in stone in their entire universe. Like it was all leading up to it.
It's clear
all the way
that's where
up,
we're headed.
all the way up to Endgame. Literally, they were setting it up so like the whole time. You don't have Winter Soldier where he grabs the shield. If you're not gonna, if you're just teasing that, you're not just teasing that for no reason. And then you don't have Civil War and just tease that fight with them throwing the shield back and forth.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad for Sebastian Stan because imagine like you sign up for, even back then they signed up for contracts that were at least 3 or 4 films. Like he knew he was going to sign the next 10 years of his life. He knew that he was going to be doing this, but with the promise of elevating to take on that mantle, like that gets you excited, right? It's like, oh, this flagship film that I'm going to be in can be mine one day. Like that's a tall order. Like that's a huge reason to sign up. And like somewhere along the way, like way down the line, plans drastically pivoted. And like you can see it, right? Because the basis for
it literally, but here's the thing, it changes in Black Panther, really. Like that's literally the minute they tried to call Bucky White Wolf, that was what they were doing. It was the silent, hey, we're not going to take Winter Soldier and turn him into Captain America. We're trying to offload that. And it was like
I wonder if it has anything to do with Chadwick Boseman passing, right? Because you saw Black Panther being positioned as like a key Avenger, but then he passes, suddenly you don't have Black Panther. It's like,
well, yeah, I mean, we're finally getting to a place where they're gonna finally recast for Black Panther. So that could be like initially they didn't want to recast, and so they need another black figure to kind of take talking
about, like a leading black figure in the MCU, like positioning Sam that way and pivoting hard because like they pivoted hard,
yeah,
somewhere along the way. But
it's almost just stupid. It's almost just stupid enough that I feel like that absolutely was
maybe. I mean, it
their
changed a
thought
lot of
process.
stuff. Speaking of Black Panther, though, I do have these Avengers Doomsday concept images up, and I don't remember seeing Black Panther in them, but they have. This looks like. Who does this look like? I don't know if you've seen this, but it looks like somebody else. It's like a future version of the kid that they introduced or whatever.
Yeah. So the reported
looks like an actor. I can't place it though. I don't know.
Yeah, the reported idea right now is that
Sterling K. Brown.
Oh, fair. He was the uncle in Black Panther.
Was he? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he was Killmonger's dad.
Killmonger's uncle or whatever. Yeah.
No, he's Killmonger's dad.
Yeah, that's right. He'd be a great kid for Black Panther. He's great.
The initial leaks talked about the fact that they are going to essentially do a multiverse swap where it's essentially when Doomsday resets the world, they're going to essentially take a Black Panther that you meet from the multiverse on another Earth, and when the Earth realigns and it does that thing that it did in the Marvel comics where everybody forgets, like everybody believes that this was their
incursions,
their correct timeline and everything. This Black Panther is just going to be set up as, oh hey, it's Black Panther. And then like they're literally going to they're probably gonna give a couple lines of, yeah, our Black Panther died, and then you're gonna have the incursion happen, and then it's gonna be like, oh hey, it's Black Panther. Like nobody's gonna even second guess it. And honestly, if you're gonna do it that way, fine. Like
Ever
ultimately-
since Loki introduced the concept of variants, you could do whatever you want and just blame it on this is a variant from a different timeline or multiverse.
And, like,
now that Kang's no longer
dude,
involved, but like,
talk about just how dumb of an interpretation that they had for the multiverse. Like they couldn't decide what they wanted, so they decided to go with, we're gonna have our cake and eat it too. We're gonna do Spider-Man, where all 3 actors are played by a different actor, but they're all Spider-Man. But on the
they don't look the same.
They don't look the same. On the same token, all of the Kangs are gonna just look like
Jonathan Majors,
cosplay versions of Jonathan Majors.
Same guy.
And then Loki, for some reason, though, also has variants that don't look anything like each other.
There's no rule. It's like, what's the rule?
It's so,
it
was so dumb.
Story you're telling. You need like concrete rules.
Because ultimately, let's be real here. Ultimately, if they had stuck with, hey, we can just use any actor ever that has ever played this character, and we're using them as different variants, then guess what, Disney? You could have just recast Jonathan Majors and kept Kang.
It's the easiest recast
like
in the
it was
world.
literally, you guys had it all set up, and then you wouldn't play by your own rules, and so then you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar and you froze and you didn't know what to do. So then you went, hey, you know what, RDJ as Dr. Doom, and literally proved all of our point. Like, you literally just went, hey, misdirect, look over there.
That's what happens when the good projects make no money and the slop that comes out actually does. It's like you have to pivot and you have to.
If nobody's heard,
Doom, let's just do it. But like Jonathan Majors was the easiest recast in history. I think they should have waited, postponed it, and
of course
seen what the verdict of like the trial was. Like, wasn't he acquitted? Like, did he even?
So anyways, this is to be fair, like this is how dumb Jonathan Majors is.
It's like the Johnny Depp scenario. They panicked.
No. But here's the worst part: he got acquitted, and then like a week later, this man is on a phone call and gets recorded saying, "Oh yeah, like it was crazy. I beat her up."
Oh snap!
And it's like, you know what? If you get acquitted for something, just common knowledge to anyone ever, I don't know why I'm trying to help you get away with anything, but don't go on the phone and admit it.
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe just
lay low at least.
Maybe not the smartest idea. Like, oh my god.
No. The Jonathan Majors scenario was so easily. They could have written around it so,
and
easily.
They freaked out.
They pivoted hard, and it's like,
and
like doesn't really work for me.
To be honest, you can't come back with Kang after he gets beat by Ant-Man the way that he did.
Well, that was a huge misstep as well.
So to be fair, like
that as well.
it was a big misstep. You could have written your way out of it. Absolutely.
I just thought of the other variant who always looks the same, right? Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. The same every time, with the exception of Henry Cavill that one time.
But again, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, with Wolverine. With Wolverine, Deadpool's known to screw with the rules, so it's like it made more sense. In that case, and also they didn't just. It wasn't just like the same. Like they were paying homage, of course. Like honestly. And, like, I get it, but it's like, okay, well, then in Spider-Man, you should have at least shown one more variant of Spider-Man where it was just Tom Holland just as, like, Ben Reilly. In just, like, the Ben Reilly
did
suit
you see
or
that?
Something like that.
It reminds me of the thing I sent you a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Garfield.
It's totally improbable, but, like, I just love that theory. Like, that's a good theory. That's solid. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, dude,
you think they get more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, but
I mean, absolutely. But it's like it's funny because if Thunderbolts didn't make the money that it needed to make, which is
No.
so sad because out of all the projects that haven't done well for Marvel, it's actually the one that deserved to do well.
It is good. It is a good
Because
movie, and it's
I don't care what any of you say. Eternals is not a good movie. Shut up.
I tried watching Eternals like 2-3 weeks
so
ago, maybe.
boring.
Turn it off. I was not engaged at all, which is
so
crazy
boring.
because you know what I remembered about that film? They had two of the biggest names in, well, at least television. Like they had
Angelina Jolie.
Well, they had Angelina, like huge cast. They should have done like really well, but it flopped hard. Like they had the two Stark boys from Game of Thrones, bro. They had
True.
They had Jon Snow, and they literally had Rob Stark.
Rob Stark.
Bro, how do you fumble that?
Yeah, I mean,
they should have marketed that hard and like put those two in more scenes together. I don't know, but and that's the other thing too is like we're not going to get those guys. Anyways, I don't want to talk about Eternals.
Yeah.
The thing about the MCU though is like when they pivoted away from Jonathan Majors, they pivoted away from what they were doing, which is not multiverse stuff, but like timeline stuff.
Yeah.
And so the way that they structured the MCU multiverse was like branching timelines, right? That's the whole reason why the Loki television show exists in the first place.
True.
Is to explain like why all this crazy stuff is going on, right? And then I watched Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness recently as well. That mucks everything up because it's all like when you dream, you're just seeing your multiversal selves, and like that's the opposite of what we're talking about. Like
ultimately, they just could not decide what rules they wanted to go with, and they said, you know what? Anything that you've ever heard about the multiverse, that's how it works.
Dude, I don't know if like Kevin Feige was like distracted by maybe joining Star Wars or what, but like after Endgame, who is steering the ship? Like what is happening?
100%,
where are we going? Which is why I've always maintained after Endgame, you tie up some of those loose threads, right? You cap off the Guardians trilogy, you cap off the Spider-Man trilogy, you finish out some of these things with maybe a TV show here and there, but you're done after that. Reboot the universe,
and exactly
anew.
To your point though, like, and that's the perfect, like, Spider-Man kind of was doing that. Like, it was setting itself up for a soft reboot. Like, the end of Spider-Man shows that like nobody knows who he is.
Yeah,
he's just Peter Parker. He's by himself. So all it has to do is when you go into Spider-Man 4, you don't have to bring back any recurring people other than Tom Holland. Yeah. You just bring Tom Holland back as Spider-Man, and you bring in a whole new cast of characters, and you keep him away from the Avengers. You keep him all by himself, and then you start rebuilding your world again, and you do different things. Like it's Marvel. It's not that hard, but you got so focused on this woke garbage multiverse yo-ho or you.
Well, they started giving us projects that nobody asked for or wanted. Like, why are you building towards the new, like the Young Avengers or the Champions? Like, nobody is asking for that. Nobody wants to see Kamala Khan and Kate Bishop and Wiccan from Agatha All Along join forth. Nobody is asking for that.
Yeah, facts. And that's the thing. Ultimately,
Captain Marvel 2? Why?
Oof, that was a bad movie. Ultimately, Marvel, you gotta stop. Like, here's the thing. And,
not everybody needs this movie.
Well, and this is also a problem with the comics right now, is that Marvel is very high on their own supply, and their own supply is their woke. Hey, this is what we want to do because this is what our writers want to write, but there's no audience at all for it. That there's a reason why, guys, in the comics, Kamala Khan just got retconned to becoming an X-Men. It's because her book's not selling the way you want it to.
Tired of the mutants, right?
And so you want to tire to the mutants. You already tried to completely get rid of the mutants the first time and bring in the Inhumans. And we all saw how that went.
Oh, dude, you have the Eternals, right? And then you have the Inhumans.
It's
right
like
down here. Nobody cares.
What you have to do is you have to look at what your audience wants. And Marvel / Disney, because a lot of this is Disney's fault. Disney went, hey, you know what? We bought Marvel. We need boy brands. We need to bring in the boys. And then what did they do? They said, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to feminize the boy brands. So we're just going to chalk the boy bands the boy brands, not the, maybe they're chalking all the boy bands. Just
that's
full
what we
women.
need. Bring boy bands to the MCU. Obviously, that's the answer. No, they're pumping these. They're just pumping massive product with the message, right? And nobody wants it.
Yeah, with the feminine message, with the characters that nobody gives a shit about. Like, nobody cares. This Ironheart project looks like garbage.
Who wants this?
The fact that this stupid show is out here going to be giving us our first look at frickin' what's his face? Mephisto?
Oh, Mephisto, yeah.
Is insane. And also the trailer, like, guys, Marvel, just I don't know if you know this, but when there's a hero, they're usually self-sacrificial. They're not trying. Right? They're not trying to be iconic. They're trying to be heroic.
They have to start somewhere. You don't just get that.
God, cool. So also, just so you know, like, just Marvel. I don't know if you like PR people need to hear this. It might be a bad look to have a girl of color, her background being that she's stealing shit. I know you guys are trying to get away from stereotypes, but like, you're doing a piss poor job if that's the fact. Also, I don't like this actor who plays the Hood. I think he's terrible.
I think we talked about this last time we were on, but yeah, I have opinions about the Hood in general. Could be great, could be a great character, could be like a street tier foil for Daredevil or something. Yeah. But no, instead they put him in an Ironheart thing. It like doesn't make any sense. And also they casted somebody who doesn't look at all like the character. I hate it when they do this. But anyways, what I was gonna make to your point was like, not every character deserves their own project.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Especially when you're playing with the Marvel Comics universe as a tapestry. You have so many characters that you could be focusing on, right? That people actually like. But then you give all these projects and you're splitting the funding for these projects. So the more you put out, the less quality you're going to get.
Yep.
Right? Which is why I'm very happy that they announced that they're going back to like 2 movies a year, maybe 1 or 2 series here and there, like an animated series here and there, like maybe 1 a year. But like, you have to hone back your output and focus on the quality, right? Which is like a 100%. Miracle that we even got Thunderbolts.
100%.
Honestly. And in retrospect, knowing that it made no money, probably should have just called it New Avengers to start. Like, what did that whole stunt really accomplish other than like some posters?
Here's the thing. I don't think calling it New Avengers would have done any favor.
Nobody knows what the Thunder.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Nobody
Avengers.
Here's the problem that I have, and the problem with Marvel right now is nobody cares about anything that comes out.
I mean, that's true too. That's problem A, right?
Like the Avengers brand would have honestly, I don't think the Avengers branding would have done anything for Thunderbolts. I think everybody is so done with, like, we got literally 3 turds back to back from Marvel this go around. Like, before, what was before Captain America Brave New World?
I think it was Deadpool, wasn't it?
Okay, so we got,
which made money, but in hindsight is like stupid movies.
The last 4 Marvel projects, and I'm gonna include the Sony ones, just fair, is Captain America: Brave New World, Kraven, Deadpool, and Venom. And Kraven got literally no money. It took no money in, and Venom, I don't think, didn't do what people thought that it was going to do either. And then Deadpool literally did money because it says Deadpool. Like Deadpool is
because they brought back Logan,
and they brought back Hugh Jackman, and it was honestly very outside of the MCU. Like it wasn't very connected to the MCU.
Deadpool's always been like his own
Yeah, they
thing,
did
but-
multiverse, but like it wasn't connected. And
Have
then
you
the
gone
movie
back to
before
watch-
that was The Marvels, which is
Terrible.
god
Trash.
awful.
Trash. But have you gone back and watched Deadpool and Wolverine like since the
Yeah.
theaters or
Yeah, I
since it
have.
came out?
Yeah.
It's kind of mindless. It's kind of brainless.
Yeah,
There's not a lot going on there.
No, it's not a.
It made
it's
$1
not
billion,
exactly.
but there's not a lot going on there. It's
you
just
watch
a
that
vehicle
movie
for jokes and
You
to
watch
get
that movie
laid
for the
and-
interactions. You watch that movie for the interactions between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
That's what you watch that movie for. And for what it was, it's exactly what everybody who wanted that movie wanted.
Yeah.
Even
but
though
it
some of us
surprisingly-
wanted, like, we wanted more story, obviously. But once it got into Marvel's hands, like, you knew that it was going to turn into this, honestly, to be fair.
Yeah. Which is why I think a full reboot,
Oh, 100%. 100%.
start anew. Start with the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers on
And,
the ground
well,
floor and build.
And to your point,
Easy. Do it.
the X-Men is a perfect example. Not everybody needs a solo movie. That's why the X-Men became as popular as they did in comics, was because it was a team of heroes that nobody really knew anything about and that they grew with and became, and the X-Men became the star power that they were because it was a team book. And so everybody had a little bit of something to connect to. You can do that with the movies.
You sure can. And the thing about too is, like, we're not saying we don't want these characters involved at all, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're gonna need like a Captain Marvel. You need female characters, of course. Like, nobody's arguing that. But what we're saying is, like, you need some characters to be side characters. Like Falcon is the perfect example, right? Because Bucky was clearly being set up to be Captain America, to take that mantle, and Falcon was a great side character. He'd show up in the Avengers films. He'd show up, a great like partner with
One of
Captain
the
America.
coolest parts
Works very well in that regard.
about Ultron is that whole scene where they're in Avengers Tower having
he
a
shows
party,
up. It's
and
like-
he shows up and has a conversation with Cap, and it's like it ties in Winter Soldier, but then it also ties to Future that we knew that was we knew we were going to get a Cap 3.
Exactly.
We knew something was going to tie from that, and it was just two guys. Like, and it was connective tissue that we all liked, and it was
Exactly.
it. And it was
Supporting
so quick,
characters-
so
supporting
easy.
characters are so important, right?
Yeah.
Because they
Look at
reveal-
War Machine.
Or I was about to say War Machine, but also too, it's like, I think Marvel kind of knows this, because why has it taken so long for a War Machine project to get off the ground? Vision. Why has Vision Quest been on the back burner for like 8 years, right?
Okay, to be fair, have you
Because
looked
they-
at the casting for
They're
that?
not supporting characters. They're not made or meant to function as leading roles. They're just not. I'm sorry.
No,
Like, we can
they're not.
reboot and do something different with them, but like Iron Man is the A character. War Machine is his partner in crime B character. Like, that's just the way it is until
Here's-
a
well,
book
and that's
changes that. Like,
all you have to
you need
do
a
is
War Machine series or Vision series, or
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like,
All you have to do
hard.
is look at what the comics used to do. You had Avengers. You had the mainline Avengers book. And then, hey, we want to try a new roster, so we have the new Avengers. Hey, you know what? We want to play with like a more clandestine, more grounded. Hey, you know what? Here's the Secret Avengers. And the Secret Avengers literally has Clint Barton, Hawkeye, because he doesn't have any powers. It literally was what New Avengers the movie was, but as a comic book. It's
And
like
secret.
you could have it was the Secret Avengers. It was easy. So easy. And it's just like,
I don't know what. I mean, you're right. I don't know why Marvel has strayed so far from their formula. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like
yeah.
they hit a home run right out the bat. You start with several solo projects. You bring them in for big team up films every now and again, and then you continue with their projects,
Yeah.
right? And it's like along the way they're like, oh, but we need the Guardians, we need these people, and we need Captain Marvel, and we need this, we need this. Hawkeye, the series worked so well because it's like, we've seen this guy in all the films.
Yeah.
He's great, he has enough there, right? They built him up. He has enough there to get a series.
Yep.
And then to also launch his protege, which is Kate Bishop. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But in the like Rhodey does not have any development. So why would you give him a series? There's nothing to build off of. Hawkeye has had a lot to play with over the years.
Yes.
Rhodey not so much.
And
Secret
that's
Invasion,
and that's the thing is like, yes, I get we all get what you're doing by naming a series Armor Wars. We know you're wanting to bring a character up, but also play with
Tony,
the legacy. Yeah. They're wanting to play with the legacy of Tony Stark, wanting to play with the legacy of Iron Man, but I'm sorry, the people that you have are not mainline. You learned this with Captain America Brave New World. Like Falcon is not a mainline character.
No.
And Anthony Mackie, who I love as an actor, is not a mainline blockbuster actor that brings people in.
He's like high B tier for me.
He's B tier for sure. But the reason it worked so well that he was Falcon is because he had a repertoire.
He's got charisma too. Like he's
Captain
great.
America, and he was just allowed to do his thing. He was the comedy relief without being a joke. Really is how he always felt. And it was all, and they started that off pretty well with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. Like showing their dynamic could have been cool, but Sebastian Stan is much more the standout actor. Like he's the one who takes over.
He's just nominated for any.
But that's the thing. He takes over the screen the minute he's on screen. And so you can't tell us that Captain America shouldn't be Bucky, and it doesn't make Falcon any less of a hero. It doesn't make Falcon less of a character either. Like we all love Falcon, we just don't think he should be Captain America.
Yeah.
Also, he doesn't even have the Super Soldier Serum. So let's be real here.
Exactly. So we go back to talking about rules in your films, in your universe, right? You can't just do anything willy-nilly because the audience won't accept it. Everybody, it's common knowledge that Sam Wilson is not a super soldier. He is a normal human being. Ergo,
I mean in the comics,
catch a car thrown by a Hulk.
Yeah. In the comics, he has the ability to talk to birds. He is literally more useless other than his suit. He's less useful than Aquaman. Because everybody wants to make the joke about Aquaman that he talks to the fish. Well, in the Marvel universe, Falcon is literally Aquaman because he can talk to birds. That's it. That's literally it. He's just...
That's a great power, dude. I love birds. Birds are awesome. Who doesn't love birds?
Anyways, we're going to get off of our Marvel soapbox because nobody wants to hear it. And it's just tired. It's tired at this point.
Do you think you could what if you were given the reins to the MCU right now? What would you do?
Ooh.
What are some moves you would make? Would you cancel projects? Would you put projects in development? What would you do right now if Kevin Feige resigned and he's like, I want Russ Spacey to lead the MCU? What would you do? Aside from removing Sam as Cap.
Yeah.
We all know that would happen.
The first thing that would happen is Bucky becomes Captain America.
That's a no-brainer. I would do, but what projects would you greenlight? What would you cancel?
I would almost immediately put into production a Thor 5 to fix Thor.
Ooh, that's a good move.
I would literally almost instantly do that. That would be the first thing on my list. It would be Spider-Man 4, and Spider-Man 4 would be literally stripped down to the bare bones. It would literally be, hey, this Spider-Man 4, I want you to treat this as if the audience has never heard of Spider, as if this was a complete and total reboot of the character from the base bones. The only difference for this movie is that you do not have to explain his powers because they already know what his powers are. But he would, so that movie would be stripped to the bare bones. It would go street level. He would be going to college. He would meet Gwen Stacy. He would meet Harry Osborn, and he would meet Mary Jane Watson.
The classics. Yeah.
The classics.
Give them the classics.
I would give Marvel a classic Spider-Man film with him swinging through Manhattan, swinging through New York. It would be a nostalgia trip of Spider-Man. But of the character of Spider-Man, not of Spider-Man through the years in film, like No Way Home was.
Yeah, No Way Home, like for better or worse, like rebooted him. Like
yes.
he's a clean slate.
He's a clean slate. You take him all the way to you take him all the way back to, and you give him villains like maybe you start setting up the Sinister Six. So maybe you start off with I would go, you know what? I would have done Kraven's Last Hunt. Actually, I would have done
Craven's ice cold right now.
Yes,
I'm sorry to say
that's absolutely. But for this film, I would have done Kraven, Scorpion, and Chameleon as the three villains. Chameleon would be like Scorpion would be like the villain of the first act to just get you into like, okay, this is Spider-Man, cool, absolutely.
And he's also been set up from Homecoming, right?
And he already was set up, so we already have him set up. That's a perfect way to like, oh, I remember this character. I remember this Spider-Man. Okay, we're in the same universe.
Introduce the movie, throw some
Then
quips,
you introduce, then you throw in the big bad who is Kraven, but you introduce Kraven through Chameleon, his brother, and then you're off to the races. Those are the three villains for that film. You introduce Harry, you introduce Norman Osborn. You introduce him in a way that you're not playing with the Green Goblin yet. You're not like
you build Norman.
You build on that. But all you do is maybe you hear him talk about, oh, I have to go work on this performance enhancing drug or something like that, where it's like, oh, that could be the Goblin Goo. Like just little things like that.
Tease it. Yeah. See, the MCU had that in the beginning, right? They were dropping little things here and there, but they had time on their side. They didn't rush it. Yeah,
then you have Thor 5, and Thor 5 would would pull everything back to its Norse medieval Asgard roots. Like it would go back to very much feeling like Thor 2, Thor the Dark World, just the way that the aesthetic was and everything. It would be a play between the first Thor and Thor 2 in aesthetic wise.
Okay.
And even like right in the beginning, like, and I would bring back the suit that we saw for like 0.5 seconds.
100%
in Thor 4.
Yeah. Excellent.
And then it would be Captain America, Bucky Barnes, like Captain America,
for sure.
Whatever.
Yeah,
like,
Bucky Cap.
Those would be the first three films that I pop out.
100%. I love Thor 5. I love the direction for Spider-Man.
Go ahead and talk.
Oh, sure, dude. I could talk. If I was given the reins to the MCU right now, I would be building Norman Osborn immensely. I would be pivoting towards the Dark Reign event that happened in Marvel Comics between, I think, like 2010 and 2014, maybe somewhere along there. In the comics, Norman Osborn was basically what Nick Fury was in the first phase of the MCU. Really good stuff. He was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., which he rebranded to Hammer. This was an era of Marvel Comics where the villains had totally taken control over pretty much all aspects of society. They had Norman Osborn as the head of the World Security Council for Hammer, and they were building up all these villains to take the roles of the heroes, right? I'm talking about the Dark Reign event in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
That's what I would be building towards. Because I think
fantastic.
Because I think the direction that they should have gone with the MCU after Endgame, right? So huge, so explosive, such a powerful villain, unbeatable power, right? The direction you go in is the opposite. You take everything back down to ground level. You start building again. You start building up to something big, right?
Yep.
And I think that should have been Norman Osborn in the Dark Reign saga and Sentry, the Void. I think there was a very natural progression there, building that up, and then having this massive cataclysmic event with Siege. Remember Siege?
Well, and that's
and all this stuff.
Like, to your point, Thunderbolts could have been like, you could have had like Thunderbolts could have been the catalyst for Bucky to become Captain America.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
and
as them rebirth,
Norman Osborn in there filling the role of Valentina.
Yep.
I mean, it writes itself. It really does. I've been saying Dark Reign for years, but it's too late now. We're already focused on the multiverse saga and Doom. But the problem with going bigger and bigger each time is it's unsustainable. You can't sustain it. So the answer to that, besides a full reboot, which is just starting from the ground floor up, is like you take the stakes lower, but just as important. Right?
You take the characters back to their basics.
Heroes can't do anything about it because their hands are tied. Right? Look at Daredevil Born Again, right? There's a natural progression there with Wilson Fisk taking power, the heroes on the back foot, right? What do you do when you can't just go to Wakanda and have all-out warfare? You can't do that when it's like these people are in power, they're in charge, right? And there's a lot you could do with like the real world with people in power and the corrupt.
Well, and to the point, like to your point there, like that's a perfect way. Like you have Daredevil setting up Wilson Fisk being
introduce
the mayor. You have then you also then have then you have his whole anti-vigilante task force. So then that leads right in to a Spider-Man film where he's just trying to focus on going to college, but then he just keeps hearing over the news that this crackdown on vigilantes, and he's like, I have to do something. And so then you get then you have J. Jonah Jameson, who could be being paid by the mayor to spread anti-Spider-Man rhetoric.
Exactly.
Like, there's so many ways. Like even Thor. Like Thor, we already have New Asgard set up in Norway. So you don't have to take Thor cosmic. You literally just take him that he all you do is you tie it
Asgard on Earth.
You can tie it to his
gods come down.
You could tie it to how long he's been alive. So you could essentially like the old school, like when they first introduced Gore, the God Butcher, like Thor fought him 3 times. Thor fought him once when he was very early in his as Thor, like when he was a young kid and he was still like hanging out with the Vikings and going to war with the Vikings and everything.
Yeah. And
then he fought him 2 other times, once in the modern age and then once at the end of time. And so you could have that story where the stakes are much more like, you know what, something has come back to Earth that Thor should remember, but for some reason doesn't. And you keep it grounded, you keep it focused, on Thor and everything. And to your point, you focus these characters on what their core is, so that you then build on top of that.
You strike at the heart of what makes these people heroes in the first place, right? Daredevil, Spidey, all those guys rely on law enforcement, but also they're supplementary to law enforcement. What do you do when law enforcement is now against you, right? And that's what I'm talking about with this whole Dark Reign thing is like, you can have layers to it. You can introduce the street level heroes and have like the stakes on the streets, right? Civilians in the way. But the whole thing about Dark Reign is like the villains are in charge. There's no way around that. But like you could have had layers to it, right? You could have had, Norman Osborn is in charge of just America. You could have Wilson Fisk in charge of the streets of New York, which is where a lot of this stuff takes place. So like you have 2 big villains right there. And then you introduce like their enforcers, right? The people with powers who are like actually fighting these guys. You have Norman building up his Dark Avengers, but then there is a power above Norman that's putting all of this in play, a cosmic entity power that is in charge of everything below him, Norman Osborn included. And in Dark Reign, that was Loki. Right. And then it becomes the Void. That's the big bad. You build up this character in the Sentry and Bob, which there are echoes of this in the MCU.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You have the Thunderbolts, Valentina, very corrupt in charge, but you have Asgard on Earth. Like imagine if they had actually built up Asgard and people start getting word that like there's gods living in Norway now, and it's like people are afraid of that. And then you start building up, people are afraid of vigilantes, people start getting afraid of heroes. Like, look at Wanda, she went off the rails, she was a hero, now she's like murdering people in Kamertage over in Nepal or whatever, right? Dude, the bones were there.
Yeah, there's so many there's so many things, and then you know, you could, that's also an opportunity that you could have a, you know, a solo Hulk film if they ever got the rights back.
They're afraid of Hulk,
because
of like Wanda and stuff. Send him away, send him do Planet Hulk for real, like.
So there's just Marvel.
But no, we have to have a.
They've gotten so caught up in this. They've gotten so caught up in this woke DEI. We have to diversify everything. Just garbage. They forgot that their focus in the whole reason these movies did as well as they did was not because it was focused on the characters, it was because it was focused on the story. They had a story out planned, and the characters, and then they put those characters into the pieces of that story like puzzle pieces. And you build out. Like once you have rewarded. Once you have the main timeline, you could fill in everything on the main timeline. Yeah. So dumb.
That's the thing, man. People will flock to great stories, no matter who's involved or who's writing them or who's directing them. If it's a great story and it captivates the audience, people are going to flock to that. And like the MCU used to reward audiences for actually checking into all their projects. Yeah. I'm not going off to watch Agatha all along. I'm sorry, Disney. I'm not doing it. So if you
I watched 2 episodes and I wanted to shoot myself.
Exactly. Anyways, gosh, I could rant about the state of Marvel forever, but I'd love to talk about Andor a little bit too.
I mean, let's move on.
Because to me, hear your thoughts on it.
To me, the other sad place of a franchise being absolutely in the gutter is also Star Wars.
Is lost already.
And I've said this multiple times. I'm going to say it again. Star Wars, you just need to go back to animation for like 5 years, for like 10 years. Just focus on playing in that sandbox and then come back. Mm-hmm. But I swear to God, let's not make any more Andors, please.
I disagree. I
disagree
to an extent, anyways.
This show has bored me to tears. I don't remember the dude who plays, what's the main character's name?
Cassian Andor.
Cassian?
He's literally Andor.
That was okay. So I always got confused because I was like, what is his last?
You mean the actor?
No, the character Cassian. Cassian. I don't remember Cassian being this insufferable in Rogue One. Rogue One is one of my favorite Star Wars movies, but every time he's on screen, I want to either yell at him or go to sleep because he is either he just either is moping or just showing no utter emotion. I don't like him. I don't know if he just decided not to act, and so it's just that's what his face looks like 24/7. It's painful. This show is showing me why Star Wars is in such a bad state, because it knows that it's in such a bad state that it's like, hey, you know what? You know how we're going to get butts in seats to watch this? We're going to introduce rape into the Star Wars universe. We're going to introduce, I kid you not, and it's still one of the things that I'm trying to understand why the hell it got put in this show. But
I have thoughts about it too.
This show, the whole focus of this show is you're supposed to be on the rebel side.
Right.
So, but then it does like a weird, dude, and maybe I'm reading this the wrong way, but that terrorist event on
Woman Massacre.
Yeah.
The Gormans, the space.
Yeah,
French
the
Revolution.
Gormans. Yeah, those people. The way that was written just screamed, hey, we wanted to do our own Jan 6, and so we did it. And so we wanted to show you it. Like,
Oh,
it
maybe now
just
that you say, but
felt it.
I didn't have that in my mind when I was watching it.
And again, maybe I'm just.
I immediately thought this is the French resistance during World War II. The Nazis,
okay, maybe.
you know, that's what I got.
That's fair. Maybe I'm just so bored when I'm watching this that I'm just like my brain is going other places. Like this, I had to rewatch one episode 3 times because I kept falling asleep, and I didn't want to just like pussyfoot it out and not rewind. So I rewound and kept watching. I'm not finished yet. I'm on episode 10. 10, honestly, to be fair, episode 10 so far is probably the most interesting episode that I've seen so far.
10 is the Senate. They're rescuing Mon Mothma, correct?
Yeah.
No,
No,
never mind.
no. Nine
It's
was
after that one.
that. It's after that where the dude that is played by the actor who plays Eric Sedgwick in
Luthen?
Luthen.
Luthen Rail? Stellan?
He
Star Trek?
kills him. He tries to kill himself when he's like destroying evidence. The Empire finds him. This lady who plays the Empire, I don't give a shit about. Like, she keeps popping on screen, and I'm like, oh great, she's gonna say something stupid because she, like, I don't know if I'm missing something, but honestly, this show,
I think you are missing something.
This show is making me rethink Rogue One, like in a bad way. Like, I don't know if I just
because it is supposed to make you think about Rogue One, but
it's making me go, did I just watch Rogue One and like make a rash decision on it? Me liking it so much, were the characters really this terrible?
Well, the characters in Rogue One are actually fairly poor. You don't watch Rogue One to watch the characters and
I don't know.
Not even dialogue to a certain extent. You're watching Rogue One
was fantastic.
I mean, it's casted very well, but a lot of its characters outside of Jin and director Krennic are not that interesting. They're just not. I mean, a lot of the rebels, the guys that they pick up on Jeddah.
Okay, so then hold on. So wait, then to that point, why the hell would you make a show all about one of the most uninteresting characters?
Exactly. Why indeed? Why did Andor even get made? I don't know. Which is why, and we talked about Star Wars being in such
Kathleen Kennedy.
We talked about Star Wars being in such dire straits, right? It does not make sense by any metric why Andor exists, how it got made, how it just slid by. I don't know what Tony Gilroy, what blackmail he has on the higher ups at Disney. Lucas.
Well, no, apparently
it doesn't make sense. Andor should not have been made. I agree on that point.
So I heard a story. I heard that Kathleen Kennedy, I guess Gilroy came out and said, he was like, Kennedy like covered this entire project. Like she like took cover fire from Filoni for this whole thing because she's the one who got it made. Who got it made because he didn't think it should got made. Which I
did hear that. I did hear that. You got the Filoni stuff and you have stuff, whatever Andor is. So I agree. It shouldn't have been made. People don't watch Rogue One for the characters, which is why it's so strange that they would take one of those characters and do a whole series revolving around him. With that being said, Cassian Andor is not the best part of the show that is named after him. I do still feel like Diego Luna and Cassian Andor himself is one of the weaker parts of the show. Mostly, I don't love Andor. Mostly, I don't love Andor because of Cassian. I think Cassian is a solid character now that they've built him up, and you see why he does the things that he does, why he's so angry in Rogue One. That's his defining characteristic, is anger and revenge, and he wants to kill the Empire, right? That's his whole drive.
Yeah, right.
But like you see the characters that he's lost along the way and how that has driven him, how he's gone from being a vagrant who does not care about the galactic conflict to then being a hero who will put his life on the line for the rebellion, right? That's his whole arc. And I think that's very solid. However, I do not think he is the best part. The best part for me is the subterfuge, the spycraft, the crafting of such elaborate schemes. You have the ISB and you have Luthen Rail and his spy network for the rebellion.
For
The
sure.
rebellion hates him. The rebellion does not like him. Like, you have all these factions and all these different viewpoints about what's going on. That's where the intrigue lies for me. And all these characters are so, I believe they're so well written and so well realized, and which is the exact opposite of Rogue One. Rogue One, you were only there because you wanted to see the Death Star and the Starfighter conflicts, and you knew that this was leading to A New Hope. Andor, you know it's leading to Rogue One, but you're not necessarily tuning in for like the space battles and all that stuff. Rogue One kept me engaged because I wanted to see what was going down with these characters. What's going to happen to Luthen? How is he going to get his spy network involved? And how are they going to build the rebellion up? And how are we going to get to Yavin? And how is Mon Mothma going to get out of the Senate? And how all these things happening in this dangerous period of Star Wars. Like, the stakes are really high. People don't know about the Death Star yet, but the Empire is about to flip a switch and kill democracy entirely. So, like, we are in the fledgling days of democracy, which is why I think all the Senate stuff is really interesting. I've always been intrigued by the political aspect of Star Wars. I love that this project doesn't shy away from it.
Yes, I agree. Like, I think the political side of Star Wars is very interesting. And I think the spy stuff, very interesting. You know what other show what other show did a really good job of like showing the the burgeoning of a rebellion? Rebels. Rebels did that too.
Animated show?
Yeah. Like, Rebels did that. Like,
it
Rebels,
did, but in a different vein.
But to that point, Rebels far more interesting. I understood what the hell was going on all the time, and most of the time I wasn't like, who are you? Like, and that's the thing. Luthien is like the most interesting character, but all I want to do, all my body screams at me to do, is to take the remote and fast forward through every scene that doesn't have him in it.
Oh man.
Like that
sucks.
And I don't know. Like, that's the thing, is like,
Wait. Let me ask you, how did you engage season 1? Did you watch it when it came out and just never revisited it, or
no? I watched season 1 afterwards because I didn't watch it
after it came out. Okay, because I was going to say when it first came out. My initial, I did not love Andor as much as I do today a year ago. I liked it because it was different and because it was trying to actually accomplish and say something, and it was really well made and there were some really great parts of it, but it was slow. The pacing of the show is difficult, and I think that's the hardest part for people to get over. Is like, it's not the flashy, quick Star Wars movie format that we're used to. It's like this slow, long, drawn out,
for sure,
slow burn spy thing. And for the longest time, season 1, when it was releasing, I was like, God, this is dull. Like, this is really dull. It wasn't until I rewatched the series on my own time with my fiance Emma, right? Because I got the Blu-ray set of it, and we started watching it on our own time because it's structured really, really strangely. And I was just telling a buddy of mine who wants to watch this show, I was like, listen, Andor is structured in like 4 or 5 3-episode blocks. You can't just watch. You can't just watch episode 1 of the prison arc and then wait a week and then another prison arc and then another week later conclude the prison arc, because you're just like you're getting a third of the story that they're trying to tell, and it's like the first act. So it's like this whole episode is just the first act of a story. It's dull, it's slow, but when I revisited Andor, I was like, let's watch another one. Let's watch the whole prison arc. Let's watch the whole heist on what was the planet? They steal the Imperial credits, right? And the whole heist, they're building this heist, right? So we would watch all of that. And once I engaged with it that way, I was like, this makes a lot more sense, and its pace is better. And season 2 learned from that, and that's why they released it 3 episodes at a time.
Fair enough.
Because it's like, here's the Gorman Massacre. Here's all episodes you need to understand this massive thing that's going to define our show
For sure.
in its entirety for the conclusion, right? And that's why they released it that way. But I will grant you, it's not perfect, but I love the Andor direction for Star Wars. I love the Thunderbolts direction.
Yeah,
for the
I mean, ultimately,
right?
like I get it. Ultimately, I get it, and like that's the thing is like as someone whose favorite Marvel movie is Captain America: Winter Soldier, I like espionage. I like intrigue. I will sit down and watch, a drama, an espionage drama. I'll watch that stuff. I'm okay with slow, but I don't care about a single one of these characters, and all I'm thinking is like, God, Cassian's gonna die at the end of Rogue One. Thank God, because I can't stand his character anymore. And like, it's like I mean, get that it sounds so dumb, but like I just watched his lady love be like, hey, I gotta peace out because I choose the rebellion over
That's
you.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful sacrifice.
Okay, for sure. But all I kept thinking is, oh damn girl, you're gonna be really sad soon. Like
that's tragic. I laughed onto that. I love that.
That wasn't tragic to me. That wasn't tragic to me. I just laughed. I thought it was funny.
Man.
I was like, oh damn. And maybe I just have no empathy whatsoever.
Somewhere along the line, Russ, you missed something. I don't know what you missed. But
yeah, so it was just
I cared about all these characters. And I don't want to spoil too much because Emma has not seen season 2 yet, and I know she watches the podcast from time to time. But
yeah, dude,
the fates of all these characters, I was so engaged. Like what happens to Luthen and
for all of you, I hope there's a season 3, but I'm gonna tell. Oh, thank God! Oh,
there's no more Andor, so
I'm
don't worry.
so close. So what you're saying is I only have 2 more hours of pain before I can be done. I'm like that toddler. I'm like that toddler sitting at the table having only barely touched his food and just being like to his parents, done? All done? All done?
That explains why you like Rebels so much. It's made
apparently.
Listen, I don't mind Rebels. I think it's
Bro, I've been having to wash my mouth out with Bad Batch. That's literally what I've been doing.
I was gonna say that's why we have Bad Batch up. Is it correct?
Yes, because literally I've been watching these 2 shows. It's not good, but honestly, it still catches my attention longer than Andor, and so it's like
animation is beautiful animation. I'll give it that.
Animation is great.
Bad Batch looks awesome. If they could just give us more of that, that would be great. But
pieces.
I just don't like the Clone Force 99 at all. They're just not interesting. I feel like.
That's why I'm excited for the Maul show.
Oh, me too, dude. That is precisely what Star Wars should be doing right now. Yes. A character people love. Yes. Whose story is not complete. They teased him at the end of Solo. How does he put together a crime empire in between Clone Wars and freaking Rebels, wherever he shows up? We want to see that. Give us that.
But here's the thing. I don't think they're going to show that piece of it. I think they're going to show... I think
they'll build to it.
I think they're going to show the aftermath of him losing the empire. I feel like this is going to be post... I feel like this is going to be post Clone Wars, pre him building up to it. I think he's going to be on a search. This is going to be after, he walks away from the Death Watch and everything. Yeah. So I think that's going to be what it's going to be about.
I mean, the leak trailer.
I'm interested.
I love it. This is the most exciting.
The leak trailer looks sick.
Wow. But the leak trailer does show him in his attire that he's the end of Clone Wars and everything. So we're at least getting a year or 2 after that. So
fair enough. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited. I would love to see. I would love to see him go after Palpatine again.
Dude, I can't wait until Cassian Andor pops up in the Maul show. At the very least,
I swear
Luthen
to God.
Ravel.
I swear to God, if Cassian, if any of the characters
They wouldn't.
from
They wouldn't.
Andor pop up,
They wouldn't.
I'm gonna riot. I will throw something at my TV. Like I can't do that. Like please.
They
The
won't.
only thing that was
Andor
funny.
is such an anomaly.
The only
Don't
thing that
ever
was
touch
so
it, I feel
funny.
like,
The
honestly.
only thing that was so funny was seeing the origins of K2SO, and like
Yes.
like seeing him boot online and being like, "Can you please take that out of my face?" As
Exactly.
as Cassian's just like got a gun to his face.
Cassian, how'd you get your droid? A major genocide occurred on a planet, and I stole him.
Yeah. I mean,
How do you
honestly,
explain that to the rebellion?
but like
Anyways.
this is where like there are some things, and I'm usually not the proponent for this, so this is crazy that this is going to be coming out of my mouth. There are some things that we can leave to the complete imagination.
Oh, I agree.
And I feel like the rebellion becoming a galactic phenomenon is one of those things. Like,
For the most
just
part, I agree.
allow it to be like, hey, you know what? The Empire sucks, and a rebellion caught on like wildfire, and this is where we are. Boom. And then you can show individual like rebellions, like they did in Rebels, like showing how that planet started to rebel and seeing pieces of the rebellion. But like this overarching, like, this is how the rebellion began. It's
Well,
like, go away. Take
actually
Saw
disagree
Gerrera
with-
with you, and take
I love
Forrest
Saw
Whitaker's
Gerrera.
weird ass voice
You're right
away.
here. You're here. You're
Yeah.
right here.
He sounds like if Yoda was human.
Great character. Honestly, Saw Gerrera, top 10 Disney characters that they've made. I will commit to that. I'll stand on
Okay.
that. But the thing about Andor too is like it's not even showing the beginnings of the rebellion. It is showing a movement and a product of imperial oppression. It's not even the rebellion. It's just these people who have lost so much to this terrible galactic power, and this is what they're willing to do. This is who they're willing to side with and be in cohorts with, and this is what they're willing to do because of what the Empire has done to them. Like, it's not the rebellion. It's these individual characters' single rebellion inside them. It's their singular rebellion against the Empire and their individual acts.
Fair. I counter that argument with saying that I looked up the writer for this show.
Luthen.
I looked up the writer for this show, literally in my literally out loud, being like, "Please let this not be the same writer that wrote Rogue One. Please let this not be the same writer." It is, in fact, the same writer. So I'm trying to figure out why
people wrote Rogue
also.
One.
Well, no, I'm talking about Tony
Gilroy.
Yeah, he wrote Rogue One as well. He also wrote, and this is what crazy to me, he wrote the Bourne series, which I love the Bourne series.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I can't be like,
why don't you love Andor? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
You got to watch it with me.
It just doesn't make sense.
Then I'll explain everything.
Every single character, and I just want the I want the Republic to win. I want the Empire to win.
That's fine. I like the Empire's portrayal in this. I love the ISB. I think they're such a fascinating organization.
Absolutely.
And their role in the Empire.
God damn.
Interesting.
I just want all of the characters to die. I want one stormtrooper to just turn into the Punisher of the Star Wars universe and shoot every single character that has had screen time.
Shit out of that. Not gonna lie.
Had screen time.
This is how far apart we are.
Bro, I rewatched. I rewatched the first season of The Mandalorian, and I was completely locked in the entire time.
Mandalorian season 1 is
goated.
Star Wars. It's excellent. It's fantastic, but it's like a different version of Star Wars.
I get it. But you know what? Okay, then here's the thing. Not every.
You're not going to get spy.
Not every big.
Baby
not every big, like, sprawling cinematic universe needs to have multiple genres where these little projects fit into just random genres. It just doesn't need to happen.
I mean,
I don't get it.
trust me, and
sorry.
Star Wars is the last franchise I would expect to be branching into different genres, right? Because it's such a product and vision of like one man.
Fair.
It's not science fiction, it's science fantasy, as I believe
100%.
Lucas himself categorizes Star Wars as space fantasy. It's not science fiction because it's impossible. There's no aspect of Star Wars that's ever going to come to pass.
It's space knights with aliens.
Exactly. And it's fantasy in space. And so believe me, a gritty political thriller is the last thing I would expect Star Wars to engage with. Somehow it works, and I think it works because you have talent behind the lens, you have talent behind the writer's room.
It's a very pretty show. I will give it credit. The fact that this show is a show that built all of its sets practically and shot in camera.
Dude, it barely
gold star to this show because it is a gorgeous show.
But I mean, you need more than that, and I 100% believe that Andor has more than just.
It don't have the more. It doesn't have the more.
It does. It has great character.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm sorry. I don't like this. I just can't.
And Director
I just don't know why.
Season 2 is an absolute menace, and he just chews scenery because Ben Mendelsohn is just that good. Ben Mendelsohn gives.
Yeah,
Andor
he's fantastic, but he's only in he's not even in it enough.
He should have been expanded more. I agree.
If we had gotten rid of some of the random ass characters that they tried to develop in this season and just gave me Ben Mendelsohn, I probably would have a much better review of this show because I like
Star Wars.
I mean, fair enough.
$1 billion.
I don't know. I think this is a product of Star Wars and Marvel learning the wrong lessons. Just Disney in general, learning the wrong lessons from their properties.
Yeah, for sure.
And I get it. I get that y'all love this. I get that y'all love this, but I can't. It literally has been boring me to tears, and I just had to say it because I've literally just seen people love Andor, and I'm like, I don't understand. I don't know how this is happening. I don't know how.
I respect, at the very least, you got to respect that it tries. It tries to write more complex character work. And
absolutely. I'll give it a try. I'll give it, and that's why, I'm like, you know what? I can't say my piece on this show until I finally watched, seen it all the way through.
Well, I mean, if you don't love it now, the last 2 episodes are not going to change.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna force my. I'm gonna shove it down my throat like a spoonful of medicine, and we're gonna do it. But I'm not. I mean, that being said, episode 10, I'm like, oh, okay, this is somewhat interesting. Thank God, something is.
Dude, I think the best episode of the show is when Cassian goes to the Imperial Senate and they're trying to extract Mon Mothma from
it was
the
okay.
Senate. That is such a harrowing.
Yeah, but here's
mission.
the thing.
You're going
here's
to
the problem. Here's the problem.
The Imperials,
Landon. Here's the problem. The entire time, Cassian has one facial expression.
I mean, I would have to go back.
But he looks like a freaking owl.
I've already conceded Cassian.
He looks like an owl, and he's literally he's pointing guns at people, and he's just. Are you good? Are you a friend? Do I know you? I don't know. And I'm like, dude, change your facial expression, please. Or honestly, whoever's running the camera, please go to someone else. I don't want to look at his face anymore.
Fair. If you can't,
Mon Mothma was great.
Believe me, I understand.
the new actor that they have playing the guy who Organa, he's great.
He's good. It's a good recast. It sucks that they couldn't get the other guy back, but
I think he died.
No, he's alive. What?
Oh well, I don't know.
Jimmy Smith,
at this point,
he had a
scheduling
conflict.
At this point, if they don't get someone back, I instantly think that the guy died.
But I mean, it would. I was fine with a recast because like they gave us Kenobi and that character was in that show and like Kenobi sucked. I don't want to know. I don't want to.
But like that's also the problem is like why are you putting money into Andor when you could have put money into Kenobi that could have been
100%.
better.
Dude, I'm in agreement with you there. I think Star Wars should be in theaters only. I think bringing it to TV demeans
if it's TV, it's animated.
And I would rather take agreed. I would rather take one solid Kenobi movie. I'd trade all of Andor for one good Obi-Wan Kenobi film. Full stop. Like if it's made well and it's really good, I'd trade all of Andor for one good Obi-Wan Kenobi movie.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, dude, like they could have turned Kenobi into a trilogy, to be fair.
A trilogy would be even better.
Like dude,
yeah. Anyways, Star Wars is a mess.
Yeah,
Marvel's kind
Star
of a
Wars,
mess well.
Marvel's a mess. Star Wars a mess. I'm excited. John Wick Ballerina comes out this week. I want to check that out. Mission Impossible came out last week.
Is out, so a lot of good stuff in the movie.
Very excited. I'm excited for Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park looks
July
great.
Is going to be a huge movie month, but
I'm gonna have to watch Superman. But I'm very
dude. We should watch Superman together as well. That would be.
God, that might be.
If it's terrible, we can hate on it together. If it's good, we can like be shocked. But I don't know if it's on your radar, but I'm hearing a lot of stuff about this movie called The Life of Chuck coming out.
I heard a little bit about it.
Adaptation. I don't know anything about it other than like people who've seen it think it's phenomenal, and it's got Tom Hiddleston in the lead role.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard, that he's great in it too.
It's got me really intrigued. It was on my radar earlier, but now it's like it's a date night with Emma. Like I'm gonna make it happen. I want to see this movie. But
no, it's nice to have. It's nice that movies are back. It's nice to have. An Apple TV Plus release called Fountain of Youth. It's a Guy Ritchie film. Fantastic. It's a good like if you like Guy Ritchie and you like Indiana Jones, that's pretty much the vein that it's in. It's fun.
Okay, right on. I saw there was a new trailer. Like there's even like really good stuff coming later in the year as well. Like there was a trailer for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Dude, that
film.
looks fantastic.
That looks badass.
Fantastic.
I love that.
Stranger Things finally got a trailer.
Stranger Things, yeah.
So we got this is
a
good year. I know, dude. I can't even remember. Those kids are so old at this point. What, they're gonna CGI them to make them look younger? Like, what the hell is gonna happen?
Did you hear that they're also releasing in 3 separate?
Yes.
Like they're not even releasing all.
It's like 3 separate. Like it's like you get 3 episodes 1 month, you get 3 episodes the next month, and you get 3 episodes the next month or something.
Dude, they're taking what Invincible did. They're splitting the season up, but they're splitting it in thirds.
Yeah. But all right, well,
that's a terrible decision.
Go to your local theater. Go see something fun. There's a lot of fun stuff out there, and we will be back next time. So have a good rest of your guys' week, and we will catch you on the flip. Bye.